everyone, and welcome back to Virtual Storytime from your very own Newark Public Library. As always, we are recording this live story stream on land that rightfully belongs to the Lenape Indians, and if you are tuning in from anywhere in our fair city of Newark, New Jersey, it is likely that you are also on land that rightfully belongs to the Lenape Indian tribe. I am your host, Mix Allie. That is Mix, just like mixing bowl, not to be confused with Ms., Miss, Mr., or even Mrs., because, as you can see very well for yourselves, I'm not a boy. I'm not a girl either. I'm a unicorn. And so is my storytelling companion. Please put your hands together for the one and only Jonathan Van Unicorn! Hello, good morning, one and all! Jonathan, how are you doing today? You know, Mixelli, I'm doing very well. I've been practicing the strategies we talked about yesterday morning for managing your anxiety. Jonathan, I am so glad to hear that. Can you tell everyone, in case they weren't around yesterday morning, what anxiety is? Oh, yes. Anxiety is a lot like worry or fear, and sometimes it creeps up on you for a very good reason. But a lot of the time, whatever it is that you're afraid of, whatever it is you're anxious about, worrying about, it makes you feel as if you're being chased by a bear, and your heart starts racing and your breath starts coming in very short, and it's difficult to do anything at all because of how anxious you are. So, Mick Sally, even when you're worried for a good reason, your anxiety makes it very hard to do anything about it. Jonathan, that is so beautifully put. So what did we learn yesterday that you can do in order to manage anxiety? Well, we learned a few things. We learned, I think it was 4 actions that you can use, and those were, there was using your 5 senses, there was breathing, there was connecting to your body, and there was scanning for safety. Nicely done, Jonathan. I am so impressed that you remember all of that. I think that yesterday afternoon you said that scanning for safety had been working really well for you yesterday. What's been working well for you today? Oh, well, today I've been very into breathing in and out. Yeah, and that helps? Oh, it does. It does so much. Jonathan, that is so good to hear. You know what? I have an idea. Yes, McSally, what is your idea? Well, I was thinking that you and I could take a few deep breaths together, and maybe anyone who's watching can take them with us. And then we will be so much more relaxed and peaceful, and ready to enjoy some stories. How does that sound? Oh, I think that sounds splendid. All right, Jonathan. Do you want to show everyone how to take the kind of breaths in and out that calm anxiety down? Oh, absolutely. Yes, we'll do 4 of them. All right. So the first one is just for practice. So you breathe in. You hold that breath for 4 seconds, and then you breathe out. And it's wonderful. Let's do 3 more together, all right? 1, breathe in. And now, number 2, breathe in. Number 3, let's go! Oh, Mick Sally, I think that was a splendid idea. I feel more ready than ever right now to go and listen to some stories. I'm so glad, Jonathan, you have a lovely time listening to our stories this morning, okay? All right, off I go. All right, well, I hope that left all of you who are watching feeling ready for some stories as well. We are going to start off with a picture book called Bird Hugs by Jed Adamson. After that, we are going to hear a little bit more of our chapter book, Peter Pan, and from there, we'll move on to a unicorn dance party to close things off. So here we go. This is Bird Hugs by Jed Adamson. Sigh. Oh, this bird is sad. Bernard wasn't like other birds. What do you see that's different between Bernard and other birds you've seen? What makes him different? When he was a baby, he didn't know he was different. Life was simple and fun. Here he's hanging upside down saying, "Look, Orla, I'm a bat." And here he's waving his wings and going, "Ooh." Then Bernard's friends began to fly. No matter how many times he tried, it was something he couldn't seem to do himself. It looks like what makes Bernard different is that his wings are a lot longer than other birds' wings, and that is making it difficult to fly. One by one, the other birds left in search of new places. "I'll learn to fly soon, won't I?" said Bernard. "Of course you will," said Orla. But the next day, she had flown away too. Bernard was all alone. Maybe he just needed a little help. Oh my gosh, he has pulled a tree down and he's hoping to be shot into the air when the tree springs back up. "That's right, Lawrence," said Bernard. "Keep on pecking that rope." "I'm flying!" But he wasn't. Oh, he fell down and it hurt. Embarrassed by his wings, Bernard tried to make them smaller. Then he wondered if it might be better to pretend they were something else. A scarf, for instance? A nice big bow? It was hopeless. Bernard felt utterly sorry for himself. He found a lonely branch and made it his home. Days turned into nights. Seasons changed. Different creatures came and went. But Bernard barely noticed them. But then, one evening, Bernard heard a sound. Bernard heard someone crying. It was coming from someone even more dejected than Bernard. Have you heard the word dejected before? It means very, very sad. I feel very sad and I'm not sure why, wailed the orangutan. Bernard jumped up and, with his long wings, he gave that orangutan a big hug. The orangutan stopped crying and sighed. Ah. After a while, he stood up and stretched. That's made me feel a whole lot better, he said. Thank you, kind bird. Has anyone ever made you feel better when you were sad by giving you a hug? And if hugs are not something that makes you feel better, what are some things that do? Back at his branch, Bernard thought that maybe his wings were good for something after all. For the first time in a long time, he slept soundly and woke refreshed, which was good because what do you think's gonna happen? We want hugs! Oh my gosh, look at all the animals who want a hug from Bernard. Bernard hugged a bear and a rabbit and a whole group of birds. He hugged a very ticklish crocodile, hee-hee, and a very slippery frog, slip. Even a worm wanted a hug, which, you'll agree, was pretty brave of the worm. Now, every morning, without fail, there was a line. The animals told Bernard their problems. It can be lonely at the top of the food chain, this lion is saying. It's hard being the youngest, this raccoon is saying. And Bernard listened. And this little bat says, ah! That's not what the bat said. That's what I said when my e-reader bounced to a different screen. Sleeping during the day makes me feel like I'm missing all the fun, this bat is saying. Bernard didn't feel sorry for himself anymore, and all the hugging had made his wings feel strong. Maybe strong enough for flying. This is amazing. Whoa! Crash. Well, there's more to life than flying, I suppose, said Bernard. Bernard still couldn't fly, but he had learned how to hug his friends. Much more. Oh, all of these animals are excited to see Bernard. Oh, hi, Bernard. Play with us, Bernard. Hello, Bernard. Bernard! Bernard, my man! Yo, Bernard! Bernard! Bernard discovered that helping the other animals had given him something he hadn't expected. New friends. And friends can help you do anything. Look at that! The other birds are helping Bernard fly. Whee! And that's the end. That is the story of how Bernard the bird discovered that sometimes the things that make you different, at first they make you feel a little scared or a little worried that you might not be able to do everything that your friends can do, but in the end, if you have good friends, they will love you even more for the things that make you different. All right, well, with that, it is time for us to return to our chapter book, Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. When we left off, there had just been a big fight. There's a lot going on. Wendy, John, and Michael and the Lost Boys were getting ready to leave Neverland. They were going to go back to London to live with Mr. and Mrs. Darling. Peter was mad. He wasn't going to go with them. He was trying to pretend like he didn't care, but he cared a lot. Just when everyone was going to leave, the pirates attacked the warriors who were protecting Peter and the Lost Boys and everyone else. So, they've all been listening from their house under the ground to see if it's safe to leave. And they think it is, because they think that the warriors who were protecting them won the fight against the pirates. The trouble is, the pirates have tricked them. Really, it's the pirates who won. So we'll see what happens next in chapter 13. The Lost Boys are all starting to come out of the tree right now. The more quickly this horror is disposed of, the better. The first to emerge from the tree was Curly. He rose out of it into the arms of Checo, who flung him to Smee, who flung him to Starkey, who flung him to Bill Jukes, who flung him to Noodler, and so he was tossed from one to another, from pirate to pirate. All the boys were plucked from the trees in the same ruthless manner, and several of them were in the air at a time, like bales of goods flung from hand to hand. A different treatment was accorded to Wendy, who came last. With ironical politeness, Hook raised his hat to her and, offering her his arm, escorted her to the spot where the others were being gagged. He did it with such an air, he was so frightfully distingué, that is French for distinguished, that she was too fascinated to cry out. After all, Wendy was still only a little girl. Perhaps it is telltale to divulge that for a moment Hook entranced her, and we tell on her only because her slip led to strange results. Had she haughtily unhanded him, and we should have loved to write it of her, she would have been hurled through the air like the others, and then Hook would probably not have been present at the tying of the children, and had he not been at the tying, he would not have discovered Slightly's secret. And without the secret, he could not presently have made his foul attempt on Peter Pan's life. They were tied up. Oh, excuse me. They were tied up to prevent their flying away, doubled up with their knees close to their ears. And for this job, a pirate had cut a rope into 9 equal pieces. All went well with the trussing until Slightly's turn came, when he was found to be like one of those irritating parcels that use up all the string in going round and round and leave no tags with which to tie a knot. The pirates kicked him in their rage, just as you kick the parcel, though in fairness you should kick the string. And strange to say, it was Hook who told them to belay their violence. His lip was curled with malicious triumph, while his pirates were merely sweating because every time they tried to pack the unhappy lad tight in one part, he bulged out in another. Hook's mastermind had gone far beneath Slightly's surface, probing not for effects but for causes. And his exultation showed that he had found them. Slightly, white to the gills, knew that Hook had surprised his secret, which was this: that no boy who was that difficult for a pirate to tie up could use a tree to get down to the home in the ground, wherein a grown man would get stuck. Oh, so now Hook knows that one of the tree trunks that leads down to the house under the ground where Peter Pan is still safe, Hook's going to be able to get in. Sufficient of this, Hook guessed to persuade him that Peter at last lay at his mercy. But no word of the dark design that now formed in the subterranean caverns of his mind crossed his lips. He merely signed that the captives were to be conveyed to the ship and that he would be alone. How to convey them? Hunched up in their ropes, they might indeed be rolled downhill like barrels, but most of the way lay through a morass. Need some water. One sec. Again, Hook's genius surmounted difficulties. He indicated that the little house must be used as a conveyance. The children were flung into it. 4 stout pirates raised it on their shoulders. The others fell in behind and singing the hateful pirate chorus. The strange procession set off through the wood. I don't know whether any of the children were crying. If so, the singing drowned out the sound. But as the little house disappeared in the forest, a brave though tiny jet of smoke issued from its chimney as if defying Captain Hook. Hook saw it, and it did Peter a bad service. It dried up any trickle of pity for him that may have remained in the pirate's infuriated breast. And that is the end for now. The pirates are taking the Lost Boys away, along with Wendy, John, and Michael, and now Hook is coming for Peter. We'll find out what happens this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for virtual story time from the Newark Public Library. Jonathan Van Unicorn and I are right back here every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and again at 2 p.m. We also have virtual bedtime stories on Monday evenings at 7 p.m. So please come back, join us for more stories anytime. And hey, if you are using those anti-anxiety strategies that we learned yesterday, let us know. We'd love to hear how they're working out for you. All right. It is now time, naturally, for us to close out with a unicorn dance party. So let's get some music ready. Let's get Jonathan back up on his feet, and you can stand up and dance with us.